Shanna Honeycutt with the Faith-Based Security Network. I've got Warren Wells, one of our employees, joining me today. We are going to talk about his presentation that he will be doing in Melbourne, Florida on February 13th and 14th, 2026. This is going to be a two-day event at Calvary Chapel with one of our longtime members. We are so excited to be there, and I can't wait to hear what Warren will be presenting on there in Melbourne. Warren, do you want to give a brief intro about who you are and what you're going to be presenting?
Hi, Shanna. My name is Warren Wells. I am the currently third employee at FBSN right now. I kind of do a little bit of everything. A lot of it's kind of behind the scenes. I've been with FBSN for about 2.5 years now as an employee, about 3.5 years as a member. I am a member of my church security safety team. I do a few other things around the church that kind of lend to this, which one of is I lead the Financial Peace University classes at my church as well.
Yeah, and I think your background in your military career and all that has been good on keeping the other FBSN employees in line and keeping us on a schedule and keeping us making all of those deadlines at the right time. So we are so grateful to have Warren, and this presentation he's doing fits with how he operates so well. So this is a case that came from your own experience at your church, Warren. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened and what tipped people off to realize that something was not quite right?
Sure. We had a church, well, at our church, we had a case of embezzlement, and it was by the finance director. It was over a period of time that she was probably involved in this, somewhere around 4 years, to the best of our investigative knowledge. She got away that we could document with about $341,000, and she was really good at hiding it. Strange as it may be, she grew up in the church. She'd been in the church since she was 3 years old, had been an employee for about 8 or 10 years. And little by little, some inconsistencies started showing up on where money was and how she was reporting some things. So the executive team and the elders got involved a little bit and discovered that for about 4 years, she'd been stealing money.
Wow. A lot of churches, they assume that it just can't happen here, especially something like this. So from your perspective, what makes churches more vulnerable, or especially vulnerable to financial abuse and embezzlement?
Well, churches run on trust, and that's a good thing, but it can also be a weak point. Obviously, she'd been an employee for a long time, been in the church longer than that. Her parents were part of the church before that. And most volunteers and staff members are trying to do the right thing, but when duties overlap, the lines can get blurred, and people, if there's no double checks or anything in place, they can say, well, I can get away with this and I'll put it back later, but it doesn't always work that way.
When you look back at this, is there anything that any key controls or processes that could have been in place that would have mitigated or prevented this?
Absolutely. There was some checks and balances in place, but they were, I guess, mitigated. They got around them. There was a requirement for dual signatures over certain amounts, but she'd created stamps. And instead of getting somebody's signature, she'd just use a rubber stamp and stamp their signature and then just get away with it. And nobody was double checking these things. One of the things that we've done since then, we've got a new finance director, and I'll cover this more in the presentation, but we've created a financial oversight committee. It's a group of 4 people that are not on the staff, they're not elders, and we look at everything every month. We look at all the credit card charges, all bank statements, all of the employee time cards. We look at everything every month, so it's pretty difficult to get over on it now.
Wow, I had not heard that she made stamps even went that far. That is just unbelievable. So
She
is
she took it. She also took advantage. We had an executive director at the time, but he had a relapse of cancer, and it was terminal. He ended up passing away, and all of this kind of culminated at about the same time. So she kind of took advantage of that situation as well when she did this.
wow. I hope that she is paying some consequences for that. But are there some practical steps that you can share with church teams that they could take right now that's not overly expensive to help strengthen their security posture in this area?
Put a second set of eyes on everything. We do everything with at least two people. And again, the financial oversight committee, call it what you want. We call ours a financial oversight committee. Again, four people, it's at no cost. We meet once a month. We're available by email. We meet in person once a month with the finance director. In between those times, we look at all of the books again, all of the charges, documentation. There's no cost in that. There's four volunteers. We are somewhat selective, obviously, on who gets admitted onto that committee, and it's on a revolving basis. They usually do 2-year terms, and then we'll roll somebody off, and then roll another fresh set of eyes on. So we've been operating now for about 2.5, 3 years since the new director took over. That's probably the best way to mitigate some of this right off the bat. It doesn't cost anything. We don't make budget decisions. We oversee the budget when it gets established, and we make recommendations to the elder board and the executive team on what we think may be best. But we are not the determining group.
Yeah, and Warren does a lot of that for us as well. We are so grateful to have him. He's taught personal finance for years through Financial Peace University. So, how does that play into this at an organizational level?
Well, Financial Peace University is personal finance. It teaches you all of the right things on how to manage your individual and personal finances. There are churches and businesses that run their businesses and organizations using the same principles that Dave Ramsey has in Financial Peace University. And again, I think if people have a better grasp, knowledge, and understanding of how to manage their own personal finances, they won't get into a situation where they think they have to steal from somebody else.
That's absolutely true. Warren is an employee of the FBSN. He's also part of his church security team. So how do you fit all of this together for financial protection of the church? Because you work and you volunteer all church security related things, and then you've got this financial piece that you bring in. How does that come together?
Well, Faith-Based Security Network is an organization, and we talk about security, and security is more than just the physical aspect of it. There's the electronic side of it, cyber, but finance is a big part of it. It's, two sides of the same coin, basically. You can have the best security in the world and keep the threats, the external threats at bay, but if somebody that you think you trust is inside and they're stealing and robbing you blind, you have to do something about that, and it's not that challenging to do. But if a church loses the trust of its members, they're doomed. Our church has been very, very fortunate. We were on the verge of closing the doors. She got away with that much money. On the verge of closing the doors, God's been good to us, and we've recovered from this. But if you keep the bad guys out, that's a great thing. But if you let the bad guys inside, that's a bad thing. And it's usually something that's relatively easy to mitigate. You can stop that from happening in just a few extra checks and balances.
Absolutely. Those internal threats like embezzlement and then child protection, sexual assault within the church, those are all uh, often from within. The church attacks are more often outside, but these are
And the
attacks.
ex- and the external threats are, honestly, they're a smaller part of it. They do happen, they make the news, but they are very few and far between. And most safety teams are going to tell you that probably 90% of their responses are going to be medical. Well, this just adds a little bit to it. You can spend a little bit of extra time looking internally. Do a really good solid background check on all of your volunteers and your staff. And you may have to go a step further if they're entrusted with financial things like being the budget director.
Yeah, yeah. So for your session, what do you hope that security leaders walk away with?
It's good to be trusting, but don't be too trusting. There's a president a long time ago said, trust but verify. Put an extra set of eyes on all of your finances, your HR department as well. A lot of times your HR director and your finance director may be the same person. Create a financial oversight committee so you have some outside eyes that get to look at everything, that aren't biased in any way. So it just double checks everything that you have, and a little extra security on the finance side of it.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Warren. I know this is going to be so helpful for our security teams and those that are joining us. So I hope that if you are in Florida or the surrounding area, you'll join the FBSN for this 2-day event and take advantage of this training in all areas of church security. Thank you, Warren.
Thanks, Shanna. I hope this works, and it's going to be a good class. The FBSN is expanding a little bit more in what we do. It's not just physical security anymore. We're talking about de-escalation training. We're talking about mental health training, and now we're going to talk about some financial security type things. So great event. Hope to see you all there.